everyone, welcome back to yoga. My name is Ashley, and today we are doing yoga asana for acute and chronic bronchitis. Yeah, so this is a holistic yoga practice, and this practice comes from the back of Light on Yoga. I really like to do those sequences of postures where BKS Iyengar outlines postures for various diseases. And so in this one, this is an interesting one because we're entering a lung irritating season, and many people everywhere develop bronchitis at some point in their lives. And it's inflammation of the lining of the bronchial tubes. And people who have bronchitis often cough up like a thickened mucus, which can be discolored, maybe yellow or green or something like that. And bronchitis can, like I said, be acute or chronic, and some of the people only get it seasonally or occasionally. That would be acute, and others are always struggling with it, and that would be chronic. So whether you belong to either group, these postures could help. And when I look at the postures chosen in Light on Yoga, they make a lot of sense to me because as an acupuncturist, I look at the whole idea of TCM with all of this stuff. And it makes sense to me because we're first starting with standing postures, rooting through the kidneys. And in Chinese medicine, the kidneys are responsible basically for grasping the breath, assisting the lungs in receiving breath and life force energy. So then we start working with the chest and the rib cage, all these opening postures, and then they become even more effective as we begin first by finding that sense of rooting and essentially pulling in physically and energetically. And so I think that there's a lesson in that to always find a sense of grounding first. So in other words, roots first, where we stabilize and then we mobilize. So let's practice. Feel free to close your eyes or gaze at a point out in front of you and connect to your natural breath. Take a moment here just to tune into yourself, how you're feeling emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. And just notice how your breath feels now in this moment. If it's constricted or if it's free flowing. And just acknowledge yourself where you're at and how you're doing today. And feel free to either join your palms in front of your heart or rest your hands on your thighs. We'll begin with the sound Om as a gesture of centering. Feel free to take a full breath in. And as you exhale, let it out with a sigh. Inhale again. Release your hands. Gently open your eyes. Please begin in mountain pose, Tadasana, at the front of your mat. There's no music today, so don't worry about a playlist or anything like that. Once you come up to the front of your mat, bring your feet together and bring your feet so that more of your big toe edges join, so your inner heels may not touch. Take your arms alongside your torso, close your fingers and point your palms in. Then draw your shoulders gently back and then lift up your sternum into that space. Feel free to close your eyes or gaze at a point out in front of you and take a few deep breaths. Every time you breathe in, root down through your feet. And every time you breathe out, lengthen through the top of your head. Rooting, rising simultaneously. Really getting that intention going right off the bat. Now interlace your fingers behind your back. Squeeze your shoulder blades toward each other. Then work your arms toward straight. Bend your knees. Bring your thighs toward parallel to the floor. Reach your hips way back. More weight in your heels. Then tone your abdomen, round your spine. Bring your forehead to or toward your knees. Watch out for gravity. Pull your shoulders back against gravity. Push your knuckles more toward the ceiling. Really take full deep breaths into the backside of your body as you hold the posture. Filling up the back of your lungs. Next inhale, stand up, reach your arms all the way over your head. Interlace your fingers, extend pointer finger across your thumbs. I'm just turning so you can see me. Lean your hips to your left, torso to your right. Push down through the inner edges of your feet. Lengthen the sides of your body longer. Lift up through your sternum. And even pull your arms back in space if possible. Take slow, steady breaths. And fill up the left side of your body, getting that stretch, length, strengthen through your legs. Push evenly through your inner feet. Again, rooting through the kidneys, rooting through the feet. Inhale, reach back up. Maybe switch the clasp of your fingers. Hips to your right, torso to your left. Ground through your legs, lengthen through your spine. Reach up and over. Fill up the right side of your body with your breath. Inhale, come back to center. Lower your arms by your side. Take your right foot anywhere along the inner edge of your left leg as long as you're not pushing into your knee. I'm not facing the camera, just FYI. Push your foot into your leg, leg into your foot, and bring your palms in front of your heart. Tree pose. Root down through the inner edge of your standing leg and maybe rise your arms up. Reach up tall through your fingertips. Move your ribcage back, tailbone forward. Lift the front, sides, and the back of your ribcage away from the floor. So instead of being like arching in your back, bring your torso more straight up and down and really engage the middle of your torso to do that. Fill up your entire ribcage with your breath. There's not a whole lot of flow in today's practice, just lots of holding, lots of breathing. Then draw your arms, hands down into your chest, lower your foot. Second side, place your left foot along the inner edge of your right leg, anywhere on your knee. Push foot into leg, leg into foot, palms in front of your heart. Feel free to stay working here or extend your arms over your head when you feel ready. Again, engage your middle of your torso, move ribs back, tailbone forward, and then lift the whole area underneath your rib cage. Try to lift that up away from your hips. And breathe. Slow, steady breaths. You can even do Ujjayi breath if you know it, the kind that sounds like you're fogging up a mirror. Remember to push more through your big toe edge of your foot to help ground and root you down. Lower your hands. Lower your foot. Garudasana. Bring your feet together. Bring your arms out like cactus arms. Then draw up your right arm under your left arm. Either hold shoulders, join backs of hands, or palms. Pull your elbows forward and down and lift up through your sternum. Bend your knees. Sit into an imaginary chair. Feel free to keep both feet on the floor or cross your right knee over your left knee. Squeeze shin to shin, ankle to ankle, or maybe even hook your foot behind your left calf. Bring more weight into your left heel. Rise up through your torso. Press your hips slightly forward and move your ribs and your torso slightly back so you can get more straight up and down in your torso. Again, keep your breath actively breathing. Try not to hold your breath. Unbind. Take your arms by your side. Then take your arms back out. Take your left arm under your right arm. Hold shoulders, join backs of hands or palms. Pull your elbows forward and down. Lift up through your sternum. Bend your knees. Sit way back into your heels. Then lift your left knee on top of your right knee. Squeeze shin to shin. Feel free to hook your foot behind your calf. Gaze at a steady point out in front of you for more balance. Push through your inner standing leg. Rise up through your torso. Move your hips slightly forward, ribs slightly back, and then lengthen from hips to armpits. Unbind your arms. Tadasana, mountain pose. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, lengthen your spine. Exhale, plank pose, top of a push-up, all the way down to Chaturanga Dandasana. Feel free to use your knees. Inhale, upward dog. Straight arms, straight legs, hips forward, shoulders back. Downward dog. Dog lunge. Step your right foot outside your right hand. Spin your back heel to the floor. Then walk your hands forward and to your left. Widen right knee to the right. Push your left foot down and to the right. And then let your head drop toward the floor as you keep your armpits lifting up. Keep length from hips to armpits as you hold the posture. And keep breathing. Slow, steady breaths. Notice if when you breathe, you're not filling up your entire lungs. A lot of us will breathe maybe into just like the shallowest area of our lungs. It's very common. And so the idea is to try to bring the breath, drawing it down deeper and deeper, all the way down into the very pit of the lung. Walk your hands back, downward dog. Step your left foot outside your left hand, back heel down. Walk your hands forward and to your right. Widen left knee to the left. Push your right foot down and like you're dragging it to the left. And again, lift your armpits up, lengthen from hips to armpits, maybe drop your head. Walk your hands back, downward dog. Push your arms and legs longer. Maybe drop your head. Move your ribcage back, tailbone toward your heels. Then lengthen from hips to armpits. Push hands and feet evenly away from each other. A few more breaths here. All right, walk your feet to the middle of your mat, and then walk your hands back to meet your feet. Then turn on your mat so you're facing a long edge of your mat. Bend your knees, plant your palms into the floor, and then step or jump your feet into a wide stance. From here, turn your toes in slightly, get your heels a little wider than your pinky toe, and then walk your hands a little further back behind you. Bend your elbows, reach heart first, head last in between your legs. Push down through the inner and outer edges of your feet. Tilt your sitting bones more toward the ceiling. And then lift your inner arches of your feet up. Inner ankles away from the floor. Next inhale, lengthen your spine. Place hands on hips, shoulders back, and slowly stand up. All right, take your arms wide to the sides. Turn your left toes in slightly, turn your right toes out. Virabhadrasana Two, bend your right knee directly above your right ankle, widen your right knee to the right. Push down strongly through your feet, reach your arms longer, and then push your hands down into an imaginary tabletop. Now from here, lengthen from your hips to your armpits and lift the front and back side of your rib cage, that space just under your ribs, away from your hips to grow taller. And then deepen your breath to breathe all the way down into the deepest part of your lungs as far as you can. And just keep breathing as you hold the pose. Straighten your right leg. Turn your right toes in. Turn your left toes out. Bend your left knee directly above your ankle. Widen your left knee to the left. Push through your right foot, inner and outer edge, and push through your left heel as you tilt your left sitting bone toward your hip. Reach your arms longer, lengthen from hips to armpits, lift up through the top of your head, steady your gaze, and then breathe deep, slow, steady breaths. Watch out for shoulders creeping up towards your ears. Allow them to drop a little bit, relax between your neck and shoulders. Straighten your left leg, turn your toes in. Let your arms down for a moment, swing them. And then reach your arms all the way up. Interlace your fingers, extend pointer finger across your thumbs, reach tall. Turn your left toes in super sharply. Turn your right toes all the way out to the right. Make sure your heels are about in the same line. Draw right hip back, left hip forward for Virabhadrasana 1. Bend your right knee directly above your ankle. Push through your inner and outer back foot. Move your ribs back, tailbone forward. Lift up through your sternum. Again, just like those poses before, move your ribs back, hips forward, and then lift all four sides of your torso up to grow longer and taller in your torso. And deepen and lengthen your breath. Straighten your right leg. Turn your right toes in sharply. Turn your left toes out. Bend your left knee. Push through your right leg. Widen left knee to the left. Lift your inner right arch away from the floor. Left hip back, right hip forward. Reach from hips to armpits, ribs back, tailbone forward. Lengthen and deepen your breath. So not only is this sequence good for if you already have bronchitis, but it's good for preventing or helping to strengthen the lungs to stave off or to overcome it quicker, more quickly. Straighten your left leg, turn your toes in, bring fingertips in front of your chest, bend your knees, step or jump, feet together, arms by your side. All right, come to the middle back-ish of your mat, so just behind middle. And then take your arms alongside your torso, point your palms back, and then press your palms toward the wall behind you. All right, step your right foot forward, one step, and then bend your right knee a little bit as you lean from your left foot into your right foot. Take your left tippy toes to the floor, and then almost lift your back leg. Keep your back leg and your torso in one line as you start to hinge forward at your hips. Do or don't straighten your standing leg. Move your ribcage back toward the ceiling to prevent a banana back from happening. Squeeze your left leg into your right, right leg into your left. Push your palms higher, shoulders back, lift your chin. And don't hold your breath. Slowly stand up, all the way back. Awesome. Point your palms back. One more time. Second side, step your left foot forward. Step into your left leg, shifting the weight from right foot to left foot. Almost lift your right leg, move ribs back, tailbone forward. Get all this stuff started here. Then hinge forward. Feel free to bend your knee or straighten your leg the whole time. Move your ribs back, tailbone toward your heels. Lengthen from hips to armpits. Reach your back leg longer, torso longer. Lift your chin. Breathe, squeeze legs toward each other. Tone your left thigh, lift your kneecap if your leg's straight. Stand up, step back, arms by your side. Great. All right, next pose, Hastasana. So take your feet about 2 fists width apart from the arches. And then step onto your palms with your feet so your palms face up, thumbs point in. And then your toes are pretty much up into your wrist creases. Then from here, make sure you're bending your knees so your rib cage and your thighs touch. Lengthen your spine to a flatter back. Then widen your elbows to the side, reach heart first, head last, face toward your shins. Push your palms up into your feet and you push your feet back into your palms. Keep moving your armpits back away from the floor, integrating your shoulders into the socket. Take slow, steady breaths. And again, in this one, in most of the forward fold, you can really focus on taking your breath into the back side of your body, the back of your ribs. Next inhale, lengthen your spine. Slowly step off of your hands and then come into a downward facing dog, facing the front of your mat. Shift forward, plank pose, top of a push-up. Lower halfway down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Straight arms, hips forward, shoulders back, curl back. Downward facing dog. Take your knees to the floor. Come down all the way onto your belly. And then take your hands halfway between your shoulders and your elbows. Take your feet either together or hip distance, but squeeze them in. Push the tops of your feet down to lift your knees up. Then push your hips down, move your ribcage back, shoulders back. And then push your hands gently down and back to lift your torso up. But use more of your back strength than your hand strength to lift you up. So ideally, at some point, you'd be able to lift your hands off the floor and keep yourself where you are. That's how much back strength you want. Keep breathing. Lift your sternum, move your shoulders back, squeeze elbows in, lift your chin, lift the base of your skull away from your spine. Keep your legs active. 3, 2, 1, rest. Feel free to take one side of your face to the floor. Take the other side of your face to the floor. And then lift your head back up. Come onto all fours, hands and knees. Then take your right knee behind your right wrist. Point your right toes toward your left hip. And then walk your left knee back, left knee in line with your right heel. Squeeze your knees toward each other. Do or don't lower your forearms to the floor. And breathe here. Squeeze your knees in. Keep everything active in your lower half, but you can allow your upper body to relax a little more. Notice if your breath feels maybe a little more freer yet or already. Maybe it doesn't, and that's okay. Walk your hands back to lift your torso. Press your tailbone forward. Take your right hand inside your right shin as you bend your left knee. Reach back with your left hand with your thumb pointing up to grab the inner edge of your foot. First, start by kicking your foot back into your hand. Keep your arms straight and just turn your torso more toward the front of your mat for a pec stretch on your left side. Move your ribs back, lift up to your sternum, move your shoulders back, and breathe here. Then bend your knee, pulling your heel toward your outer hip. Maybe point your elbow up, maybe turn your fingers forward. Keep torso turning forward, right hip back, left hip forward, spine long, muscles engaged, breath engaged. Good. Lower your foot. Either from all fours or down dog, you can switch to the other side. Take your left knee forward. Walk your right knee back. And then feel free to take your forearms to the floor. Take slow, steady breaths, squeezing knees toward each other. Lengthen your spine. Good. Slow, steady breaths. And then lift your torso up. Take left hand in front of left shin. Bend your right knee. Reach back with your right hand with your arm, thumb pointing up, hand pointing into your inner foot. Then push your foot into your hand into your foot. Kick back to stretch your right side of your chest. Turn your torso a little more forward as you pull your shoulder back in the opposite direction. Keep your spine long, tailbone pressing forward. Reach to the top of your head. And then bend your knee. Pull your heel toward your outer hip. Point your elbow up. Maybe turn your fingers forward. Keep drawing left ribs back, right ribs forward. Spine long, tailbone forward. Lower your foot. Downward facing dog. All right, we're coming down to the floor now. Lower your knees and then swing your legs out in front of you. Take your, I'm not mirroring you, your right foot on top of your left knee. And then if your right knee comes down, for the most part, to your left ankle, feel free to do so. If not, you could use a block as a wedge underneath your thigh, so you have something to lower it into. If that's not an option, you can take your top shin in front of your bottom shin, stack your knees on top of your feet, and then whichever position you are in, push through your outer feet to lift your outer ankles up, and then squeeze your inner thighs in. Do or don't slide your inner thighs out and wide on both legs. And then from here, you can hold hands into feet, feet into hands, pushing those 2 points into each other, and then bring your heart first toward your shins to fold forward for fire log, Agni Stambhasana. Feel free at any time to walk your hands out in front of you. Just remember to keep your feet engaged, pushing down into the floor to lift those outer ankles up, keeping your outer ankles safe and happy in this position. As you're in this forward fold, really start to breathe into the back side of your body, the back side of your rib cage. Oftentimes what happens with people is when we breathe super shallow, we're not using all of our inspiratory muscles like we should. And so when we stop using muscles, they weaken. So when we're really focused on breathing into certain areas of our lungs, like the back side or the sides or the front or the deeper parts and whatnot, we're helping to strengthen all of those little muscles. And the ones that tend to suffer a lot are the intercostals, the ones right in between the ribs that hold them together. Slowly sit back up. People tend to suffer more in the back side as well. Take your other shin on bottom or your other shin in front, and then push through your outer feet, lift through your outer ankles, grab onto your feet, palms to feet, feet to palms, and then fold forward and breathe here. Again, you can walk your arms forward or just keep your hands where they are. You can drop your forearms to the floor if they reach. Feel free to drop your head. Just focus on your breathing, breathing into that back space of your body, all the way down as deep as you can, as deeply as you can feel into the bottom of your lungs. And your lungs go pretty low. They go down to the middle of your torso, pretty much where your waistline is. That would be your anatomical waistline, not your pant waistline. So where your bottom of your rib cage is, essentially. Right, next inhale, slowly sit back up. Take your legs straight out in front of you. Flare your toes, tone your thighs, lift your kneecaps. Walk your sitting bones back so you're sitting on your sitting bones. If you're not, if you're sitting behind them, it's better to sit up on a prop so that your lower back can lift in and up. Patchimotonasana. Feel free to bend your knees so your ribs and your thighs touch. If you can straighten your legs with ribs and thighs touching, feel free to do so. Grab shins, ankles, or feet from the outer edges. Push through your heels like you're trying to bend your knees more, and then push your heels down and apart. Push through your big toe edges of your feet as much as your pinky toe edges. Then widen your elbows to the side, reach heart first, head last, face toward your shins. And again, really breathe into the backside of your body. Focus on stretching all of those little muscles in between each ribs. You can even visualize, imagine those muscles expanding and contracting with your breath. On your next inhale, slowly lift your chin, lengthen your spine, and sit all the way up. Take your left knee to your left for Janu Shirshasana. Rotate inner thighs down, outer hips up on both legs. And then turn towards your right leg. Grab shin, ankle, or foot with one or both of your hands. Lengthen the sides of your body long. And then take your left elbow out to the left if you're holding onto your foot, shin, or ankle. And then use that to help lengthen the left side of your body from your armpit to your hip. And then from here you can stay or fold all the way forward, face toward your shin. Feel free at any point to lower your left elbow back down. Just keep reaching through it. And feel free to grab outer edge of your foot if you're still just holding one edge. And maybe take your forehead all the way to your knee. In this posture, you can feel the breath going more, meaning feeling your muscles guide your breath. So you'll be feeling this more on the outer left side of your body, from your back of your armpit to your left outer hip even. So all the way down that line. Next inhale, lengthen your spine, slowly sit back up. Turn towards your left knee. Take your right hand to your knee, left hand behind you as you twist. Then from here, lift your left arm up, palm pointing to your right foot. Then lean to your right, be as sideways as possible. The aim is to stretch the entire side line of your body on the left. Feel free to drop your whole side to your thigh or take your right hand or forearm inside your leg and reach length through your top arm if you're not going for your foot. If you're going for your foot, if you're all the way down on your side, it's top hand to outer edge, bottom hand to inner edge. Again, focusing on the side stretch more important than anything else. Breathe into that space in your body. Imagine all of those side parts of your ribs expanding and contracting as they do expand and contract. Next inhale, slowly sit back up. Ooh. All right, take your left leg forward. Take your right knee to the right. Make sure your sitting bones are even underneath you. And then turn over to your left leg, fold forward, grab shin, ankle, or foot from the inner edge. Widen your right elbow to the right. Keep your spine long as you fold heart first, head last, toward your leg. Again, you may drop your right elbow. Just keep reaching through your elbow, through your armpit. Maybe grab the other side of your foot with your left hand. And take slow, steady breaths here. Next inhale, lengthen your spine, slowly sit back up. Turn towards your right knee, right hand behind you, twist. Take your right arm up, keep all of the length on your right side, keeping the twist, lean to your left. Again, you may drop your left hand or forearm inside your leg, or take your whole left side to your left thigh. If you're grabbing your foot, right hand to outer edge, left hand to inner edge. And again, if you're not grabbing your foot, just reach your top arm straighter and longer beyond your ear. Focus your breath into the right side of your body, visualizing that expansion and contraction. Next inhale, slowly sit back up. Keep your spine long as you extend your right leg forward. Next is Doug's other second favorite pose, Akarna Dhanurasana. Grab onto your big toes, first two fingers and thumbs wrapped around your fingernails. You're always welcome to bend your knees. I actually like it better when my knees are bent in this pose. It's better for my low back, so you might try it. Push your feet into your hands into your feet. Push your right heel down and squeeze your heel in toward your hip as you lift your left leg up off the floor. Push your foot into your hand into your foot. Keep your spine long, lower back lifting in and up. And then draw your left knee back like you're pulling a bow and arrow, like you're like the super pro archer right now. All right, now from here, you might be able to feel something in the middle of your back. You might stay here, or widen your left knee to the left using your hip and pull your foot towards your ear. This may be a little more open than usual due to the poses that we prepped with, but it also may still be pretty constricted. All right, take your leg up, then lower your foot to the floor. We're doing longer holds. Take your right leg up, push your left heel down and back, lengthen your spine, push foot into hand into foot. Keep pushing into your left foot. Do stay focused on both of your legs. Pull your right knee back, pulling bow and arrow. Point your right knee straight up to start. Breathe. Widen your right knee to the right. Pull your right foot towards your ear. Hold. Reach your right leg up and lower your foot to the floor. All right. Extend your legs out straight, sit up tall. That wasn't too bad. Slide all the way forward to lie down on your back. And from here, bring your feet together, knees together. Take your arms out like cactus arms, and then pull your knees up toward your sternum. Squeeze your legs into each other. You can lift and lower your hips so your flesh moves out from under your low back. Keep your legs super glued together. And then push your left hip away from your left shoulder so your knees will start to rotate to the left. And swing your knees high up toward your right elbow. Push your right knee up into your left knee. Push your left shoulder back against the floor to strengthen the back side of your shoulder and the back side of your shoulder blade as well. Still in the lung area, strengthening those muscles. Slowly come back up. Then just like the last side, lengthen from right hip to right armpit so your knees point to the right. Then swing your knees high up toward your left elbow. Push bottom knee into top knee. Right shoulder blade back into the floor. Squeeze your heels toward your hips. Don't hold your breath. Slowly sit back up, or lift back up, not sit. And then take your knees high up toward your right elbow again, second time. Push bottom knee into top knee, push left shoulder back, lengthen the left side of your body. Come back up. Knees high up toward your left elbow, lengthen from right hip to right armpit. Push your right shoulder blade back, bottom knee into top knee. Come back up. Last time each side, take knees high up toward your right elbow. Back up, high up toward your left elbow. back up, and lower your feet to the floor. Take your feet flat on the floor, hip distance, point your toes straight ahead. Then one at a time, walk your shoulders in toward your spine. Push your head, shoulders, feet down, lift up your hips. Push down through your inner feet, lift through your outer hips, and maybe grab onto the outer edges of your mat, or interlace your fingers underneath you. Then walk your shoulders in toward your spine one at a time. As you push the back of your head down, lift your chin away from your sternum. Push your inner feet down, lift your outer hips up. Setu Bandhasana is considered a variation of shoulder stand. And shoulder stand is in the list of poses, though we're not doing shoulder stand today because it's a very advanced posture and requires a lot more than what we can do today. All right, release your hands, lower your hips, rest your knees together, feet wide, hands wherever comfortable. Take a full breath in, and then exhale, let it out. All right, full wheel pose, Virabhadrasana, or any other symmetrical back bend. You can also do bridge pose again. Place your hands by your ears, point your fingers slightly out, then press your head, shoulders, feet down, lift your hips up. Now push your hands down to lift up your head and flip to the top of your head. Shrug your shoulders back toward your hips, up away from the floor, then push feet down and away from your head to roll toward your nose. Push hands and feet down, maybe straighten your arms, or go toward straight. If your arms are straight, feel free to walk your feet toward your hands to get your armpits more above your wrists. As you hold, rotate your upper inner arms back toward your feet and your inner thighs down toward the floor. Lengthen from hips to armpits, breathe into the front of your ribs. Slowly come down. Whew, it's a good one. Rest your knees together, feet wide, hands wherever comfortable. Constructive rest. So we did a lot of side of the ribs, back of the ribs, and now we're in the front. Roll to one side. Sit up. Okay, this next one is called couch pose, or it's Matsiyasana, I think. I'm pretty sure. All right, and then take your fingertips behind your bottom and just tuck your first two fingers underneath your butt cheeks. Then bend your elbows, and then as you bend your elbows, push your hands down and toward your heels so you can slide your butt flesh toward your heels and lower your elbows to the floor. Now push down through your wrists, elbows, lift up through your sternum and move your shoulders back. Push your legs longer, pull your throat back, head back, and maybe look toward the wall behind you. Do lift the base of your skull away from your spine. Breathe into the front side of your body. All right, now lower your ribs, lift your head, push your hands back down to lift your torso back up. If you have a block, grab your block. I did not mention this at the beginning, I'm sorry. And take yourself up to the front of your mat with your knees. I always say for people to line up the middle of their knee with your hip bone. So that may mean your knees don't go all the way together. This is Virasana. If you know it, go into it. Point your toes straight back, hips a little wider than or feet a little wider than your hips. If you have a block, you can set your block between your heels and then sit down. You can use a blanket, you can use a towel roll, blanket roll, any kind of object under your bottom to help support you here. Push through the tops of your feet. Push your knees down and squeeze them in, and then pull your knees down and like you're trying to pull them back. That's kind of a weird movement in this position. Move your rib cage back, lengthen from your hips to your armpits. Now take your fingers in front of your heart and interlace your fingers. Take the backs of your hands on top of your head. Move your rib cage back, tailbone forward, lift through all four corners of your rib cage, and then push your arms towards straight. Rotate upper inner arms back. as you pull on each set of fingers with each set of fingers. And breathe here. Here you might be able to direct your breath up into the muscles of your neck and your shoulders, which also help to assist the breathing. Those muscles tend to get tense and tight, and when they're tense and tight, it can be harder to take a full breath, just like all the others. Release your hands. Take your hands to the floor in front of your knees. Lift your hips up. Walk your knees back slowly. Curl your toes under. Come into a downward dog. Tone your thighs. Lift your kneecaps. Push your arms and legs longer. Okay, lower your knees to the floor. Take your bottom to the floor, and then take your feet together and your knees wide for Badakonasana, bound angle. You can stay where you are or scoot your hips forward or backward, depending on how close you'd like to be to your heels. Then push your feet into each other, tone your outer glutes, lengthen your spine longer. You can stay here or grab onto the inner arches of your feet with your hands, thumbs inside your feet, fingers over the tops, and then open your feet up like a book, pushing your outer feet into each other, knees wide. And then pull your heart first forward and fold. And then for today, we are rounding the spine. So start to round your spine, starting from the base of your spine like you're doing cat pose, all the way up to the top of your head. If this is too much, feel free to opt out. And then maybe take your face to your feet. When you're doing this, make sure you pull your shoulders back as you hold. Next inhale, lengthen your spine slowly. Slowly sit up. Take your hands outside your knees, lift your knees up, then slide your feet forward a little bit. Take your feet about 2 fists width apart from the arches or from the heels, and then clamp your heels in toward your hips. Widen your knees, but don't push them down. This is very important to keep squeezing your inner thighs toward each other, and then grab onto your ankles or your inner feet with your hands. This is called Omega pose. It's prepping us for what's coming next. Widen your elbows to the sides. Bring your heart first forward. Keep clamping your heels toward your hips, and then take your heart first again toward the floor. Then maybe round your spine, starting from your low back all the way up your spine. Take your head in between your feet or somewhere close by. If you can get your head in between your feet, you can do where you squeeze your feet into your head and try to close your ears. And that can be kind of meditative or claustrophobic. It depends on the person. And just breathe. Next inhale, lengthen your spine. Slowly sit back up. Grab your knees, pull your legs in, and then extend your legs out straight. Flare your toes, tone your thighs, lift your kneecaps. Okay, here comes the wild pose of the day. Kamasana, tortoise pose. Now you can do either of the poses we just did to prep for that, which were Badakonasana, bound angle, feet together, knees wide, or Omega pose. You can also do this pose. So we're starting from here. I'm going to show you first. It's going to look like this. I'm just going to plop right down into it. Don't worry, we'll go slower. So it's either here or feet together, head inside your legs. Okay, let's do it, or try. Come into your mat kind of in the middle-ish so you have room. And then bend your knees and take your arms one at a time behind your legs. Try to get your knees up to your outer armpits behind your shoulders. And then take your hands back behind you. Make sure you push your shoulders back against your knees. Bend your knees and then plant your palms into the floor. Fingers point out and back. Bend your elbows, sit on your elbows. Then start to slide your feet forward like heel toe, until your butt comes to the floor. And this might not be happening for you today, and that's totally okay. Move your shoulders back. You can either walk your legs out straight or heel toe your feet closer toward each other until your feet join. And then maybe drop your head, either forehead to your heels or around your spine a lot and take your head behind your heels. And hold. Next inhale, lengthen your spine, lift your head. In order to come out, squeeze your heels toward your hips, and then heel toe your feet away from each other if they were together. And then bend your knees enough so that you can bend your elbows, and then slide yourself out. Wow. All right, now go ahead and lie down on your back. Take your feet to wide, knees together. And we're going to do what's called Kumbaka breathing on your back. If lying on your back and doing a breathing exercise is not comfortable, and if you need to sit up, feel free to sit up instead. Kumbaka is breath retention at the top of the inhale and or at the bottom of the exhale. So I'll guide you through. Feel free to just breathe naturally in a slow, deep, even breath. 5 counts in, 5 counts out instead. Go ahead and start breathing 5 counts in and 5 counts out. As slow and deeply as you can. Do this for several rounds. Continue breathing as you are. When I say pause on the top of the inhale, we're going to pause on the top of the inhale for 3 counts, very short. And then when I say pause on the bottom of the exhale, we're going to pause for 3 counts. All right, here we go. Take your breath in for 5 counts. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold 2, 3. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold 2, 3. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold 2, 3. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold 2, 3. Breathe naturally. For the next one, we're going to do the same in for 5, out for 5, but we're going to extend the retention to 5 counts. So it'll be in for 5, out for 5, with 5 counts on the top of the inhale, holding, and 5 counts holding on the bottom. After your next exhale, we'll begin. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe naturally. Notice if there's any sensations that you're feeling, or if you feel like your breath is breathing more deeply in a normal, natural way. And whether or not you notice a difference, just know that practice will help over time. So if there's not much of a difference today, if you keep practicing some of these exercises, you may notice a difference after a while. Feel free to stay with your knees together, feet wide, or you can come all the way down into Shavasana. You may also do Viparita Karani, which is another recommended posture for rest. Also, feel free to rest in any other position that feels better for you and your body today. Enjoy your breath. Slowly begin to deepen and lengthen your breath. Bring gentle movements back into your body. When you feel ready, gently bend your knees and roll to one side. And use the strength of your arms to come back to a comfortable seat. Feel free to join your palms in front of your heart for one last Om. Take a full breath in. Exhale completely. Inhale again. Feel free to place your hands over your heart, bowing your head into your heart. Take a moment to acknowledge yourself, each other, this practice, and anyone or anything else. Take as much time as you need, and then gently enter into the rest of your day. Thank you all so much for coming to practice with me. Have a wonderful rest of your day.